how are things in Amsterdam these days?
Yeah, it's nice. Things have been a bit more normal than they used to be. So lots of gigs again, which is quite fun. That's nice. Yeah.
Right. Now, you guys toured the UK a short while ago, didn't you?
We did. Yeah. I think in October we went to the UK for 3 weeks. So that was fun.
Was it different than it was before? Because I know Brexit has had effects on things and all that,
Well,
and
I mean,
COVID.
yeah, it's quite, especially getting into the country is a lot more difficult than it used to be. And it's also way more expensive because we have
Right.
to get like lots of extra stuff. In terms of the shows, it was pretty normal, except for that people are still a bit like cautious.
Right.
Well, depending on where we went, but some of the gigs were a bit more, yeah, just people being a bit more stiff because they had to get used to it again. And then there was also at one point there was a fuel shortage, so that was a bit annoying because it meant that lots of the gas stations were closed.
Right.
And once in a while you could find one, but they had to wait in line for like 2 hours. So that was a bit stressful. But yeah, I would say I wouldn't recommend Brexit to anyone else.
Good idea. Oh, yeah, that's probably somebody should have said something like that a few years ago, but then nobody was listening. Oh, well, what are you going to do? So your album has been moved a little bit. It's now coming out on November 12th, right?
Yeah.
And how, as a band, and how does that affect you guys just thinking about things and what you're doing?
Do you mean that it was delayed for a bit?
Yeah.
I think, well, it's always annoying. But I have to say that because of COVID, you get quite like you get a bit more flexible with things. And also because we knew there is a lot of trouble with the vinyl shortage everywhere.
Yeah. Yep.
I kind of expected it, but I expected it to be told about it earlier. So I thought like maybe a month or two earlier. So this was quite last minute. But yeah, it is what it is. You know, you can't change anything about it. So at first you're very annoyed, and then you just deal with it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It seems like there's like one big production or pressing plant in Prague somewhere, and that's serving the entire world. So maybe they need to think about building a few extras.
Yeah, I mean, it's so strange. You think like demand is so high. Why aren't there more plants? But maybe it's very difficult. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, we just had one start here in Auckland last year. So there's that. So that's a plus. But I don't know if that's going to have any effect on the worldwide shortage. We'll see.
I guess. I mean, it's always good if there's less pressure on one or two plants. So I think it's probably a good thing.
Yep. So the album is called Welcome Break. So you're getting even more of a break. I don't know how welcome that is, but tell me a little bit about where and when you recorded the record and the kind of background about it.
So we recorded the record September last year in Ramsgate, which is a small seaside town in the UK, and we went there for a month, and half of the month we had to quarantine inside the studio, so we couldn't go out, which was interesting. And at the beginning we thought it was going to be pretty hard, but then we realized quite soon that you're so busy when you're recording an album anyway, like you don't really have time to do anything else. So then it wasn't too bad. And we went to a studio called Big Jelly Studios. We recorded our first album there as well. It's a really nice big studio, and you can sleep there and cook and all that kind of stuff. And we decided to self-produce this record. So that meant that you had to be like even more on top of all the decision making whilst recording.
Yep. So when you say you self-produced it, was it you personally who was self-producing it, or was the band producing it?
I think it's a bit of both. So definitely a band effort, but I'm always a bit of a control freak. So I think that I might have the final say, but not always. It also depends, like if it's about the drum sound, because that's not my instrument.
Right.
Yeah, you're always gonna like, so the drummer can say if she wants it like this or not, and then you can always have a conversation about it. But I think it was mostly band effort, and then we worked together quite close with the engineer of the studio, so he was involved as well, which was really nice because then there was another outside opinion, which is always good.
Yeah. So when you're writing the songs, do you have a sound in mind when you're writing them that you think it's going to be?
Yeah, well, funnily enough, I usually do, but it ends up sounding very different.
Oh,
so
got to keep an open mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, when I started writing, I really wanted the album to be more with like electronic stuff, so more synths and drum computers. And I think, well, there isn't a drum computer on the album, and there's only a couple of synth bits. So it ended up being quite like just like a band album. But I always find it very nice about recording that you get surprised. So it's not like you envision it in the beginning, but it's still really cool. So I quite like that from a creative aspect. That you can go anywhere with the songs.
So this is your second album. So did anything happen as a reaction to the first album to affect the way you thought about making this record?
I mean, yeah, a lot happened. Like, so first of all, it's very, it was quite overwhelming getting so many reactions and like positive stuff from people, and that like kind of makes it a bit more stressful to write, I think, second album, because you're like, oh, is everyone gonna like this? But then again, I also always try to think like, it's just an album, so it might feel to me like it's the most important thing in the world, and it is, but you can always make a new album. So I try to like not put too much pressure on it. And then also, because we played all the songs for quite a while from first album, at one point you're really looking for something else. So I think that influenced the writing for this album. Like, how are we gonna spice it up a bit so that it's still interesting? And yeah.
Right. And of course, your brother is in the band, Tender. Yeah. So there's got to be an interesting collaboration, tension, whatever, between the two of you, because you're siblings, and that's being in a band with a sibling has got to be an adventure in itself.
Yeah, I absolutely love it, because it's I always get a bit homesick when I'm on tour, and when we still live at home, so when there's
both of you.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So I see him a lot anyway, so I quite like being on the road with him. Yeah.
So what is home life like, if I can ask? I mean, is it based around the band? Does it kind of take over, or is it normal?
Yeah, definitely. Because like the whole living room is packed with the backline of the band and lots of the merch. My mom books all the hotels and stuff, so because she's very good at finding the cheapest options that are still decent enough.
Right.
So she always does that. My dad helps out with, he built us an app, so it's like everyone is quite involved. But usually when we tour, they are not with us because it's quite an intense thing to do. But we were very lucky to have quite a big house in Amsterdam. We don't. I've got a separate kitchen, so I don't. It's not like we're living together, but we do
not on top of each other, as they say. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's nice that they're supportive and actually helping out.
It's
so
really
that's pretty
nice.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's. I think like it depends on your relationship with your parents, of course, if you like them or not. I really love my parents, so for me it's really nice that they're very involved.
Because you got to remember, I mean, there's a lot of rock and roll that was made as a rebellion against their parents. So.
I know, yeah. Yeah.
I see you've done a music video, or a couple of them, 3 of them actually. One for "You Don't Want This." What kind of input do you have on the visualization of the songs? Do you take much interest?
Got you feel like you're a number, and you wasted so much time. Blink your eyes once when they're open. You're the only one behind. You don't want this, on the changes. Can it stay like how it was? Got you feel like you're a number, and you wasted so much time.
Well, I always find it a bit difficult that when you want to be a musician, there are so many other aspects you have to have opinions about or think about as well. Like if you make a video, you have to think how you want it to look, and you maybe even have to act in the video. And like that's all the stuff I hate. I don't like acting or all that kind of stuff. So we used to never be in our own videos because we were like, yeah, just get someone else to make a video and then it's really nice. But this time around, because of COVID, we had a lot more time. So we thought, let's get involved and really come up with something cool. So basically what we did this time was we picked two Amsterdam-based videographers that we really liked, and then we brainstormed with them, and we did leave like the main part of the concept to them so they could fill it in the way they wanted to. But we were very lucky because both of the videos have got really cool creative ideas, so it ended up being very fun and something we would definitely do another time again.
It's interesting, the keep it together one, the exercising, and was there much discussion about whether or not that's what you wanted to do?
It was my idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've got a very funny program in the Netherlands, and it's called something along the lines of the Netherlands Moves, and it's always at I think 10:30 in the morning, and you've got like quite a lot of old people on like platforms, like round platforms, and there's an instructor doing the like small basic movements, and if you do that every day, because it's half an hour, it's good for your exercise thing.
Sure.
And that was kind of where we started the idea of doing like something with movement, but then the videographer decided it would be a funny idea to get a very hard choreography so everyone would fail at it, but they didn't tell us, so it was quite a funny happening.
Well, the whole band is in it. You and Tender and Ginny and Derek. Did you have to kind of convince them that this was a good idea?
Well, yeah, especially Jeannie wasn't very into it. She was like,
it looks like she's having a ball.
Yeah, it was really fun, and like all the other people in the video are friends of ours. Right. So it's just we laughed the entire day, but it was very, very heavy because the floor was concrete, and if you move a lot, there's no bounce at all, so it makes it like really tiring, but it was a lot of fun.
Cool. Now, when I was watching the other video, the You Don't Want This, I noticed you play guitar right-handed, but are you left-handed?
I am left-handed, yeah.
Well, I understand. I'm left-handed too, and I back in the past, I tried to play guitar, and if I did, I played right-handed anyway. It just
I think there's so many things like that are made for right-handed people, so you just adjust. I guess it's the same with. I'm not sure how I eat if I do that the other way around, but with scissors as well, it can be very like a right-handed scissor in a left-handed hand. That just doesn't work.
It's not going to work, no. And supposedly we think differently as well. So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with your songwriting and your playing.
Yeah, that's a good question, but I don't know how it is to be right-handed, so I've got no clue.
That's a good answer. Yeah, exactly. So when it comes around to November 12th, what do you guys got planned when the record actually hits the stores, so to speak?
Yeah, we're going to the UK again to do a couple of shows, some in-store shows, and a couple of shows that were rescheduled.
Right.
And the in-store ones are always very fun because it's it just feels like a big celebration basically. But they are compared to normal shows, they are a lot earlier in the day and in record shops. But that's usually really nice because you get to meet the owners of the record shops and they are always very passionate, so I love that. And then it's just nice to meet people that like music and talk about it. And then we're doing like the big tours we're doing in February, so we've got some time between the release of the album and those shows so people can really get used to the new songs and learn all the lyrics.
Very good, very good. And do you venture outside of Europe and the UK? Do you ever go to the US or Australia?
We
or
are
like
planning on, especially we haven't looked into Australia because of with COVID, it's all quite still a bit difficult. But we do have a working visa for the US, so we are looking into going there again. But it's still all a bit up in the air. Cool.
And so what kind of people, do you get much interaction with your fans when you go and play out? Do you hang out with them?
So after the show, I always go straight to the merch table. So I'm usually there for about like an hour or so. So I do talk a lot to people, and I think that's very nice because we're not that big yet. So it's quite easy to do stuff like that. Yep. And it's quite fun just to talk to the people that bought a ticket to see you. I think that's definitely a nice thing to do. I'm wondering though, when we're going to play in February, because the shows will be a lot bigger, like 800 to 1500. So I think it will be, we have to figure out how it's going to be then. But I still always like to just take some time and talk to people that came to see us, because it's just nice to know what they thought about the show.
Sure. And when the audiences and the shows start getting bigger, in addition to your relationship with the fans, do you think in terms differently about how you're going to play and what you're going to play?
Well, it's mostly about how we're going to dress up the stage, because I think we are used to playing bigger stages. We can do that because we've played quite a lot of big festival stages, so we know how we're going to position ourselves and how we move around. But because the stage is so big, you really have to fill it with something, like either props or lights, show, or anything like that. So that will be something to think about, and also how we're going to take that with us, because we usually just drive a splitter van, so that's completely packed with our backline. So I'm not sure how we're going to bring more stuff. But I always like thinking about those logistics side of things, so it will be fine.
They're back in the day, in the 70s, the big bands like Led Zeppelin and the Stones, they would have 2 batches of massive semi-trucks that were traveling around moving all this stuff simultaneously. Insane. Yeah,
so. It is. It's so expensive as well. So I was thinking maybe we need to bring lots of cardboard stuff. So
there you go.
Pull it up.
Good idea. Cardboard amps. I don't know. I'm sure if you can pull that off, but give it a shot. All righty. Well, thanks for taking time to talk to me.
Of course.
And maybe someday you'll come down to our part of the world and play for us. It'd be great.
It's definitely on our list. Yeah, we would love to. It's I'm sure we will.
Excellent. Well, have a good time on the 12th. Good luck with the release day. All right. See ya.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You too. Bye-bye.